Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Night Out. Of course, we are live at Town Square Social. I'm your host, Tommy Bryan. This is the Week 6 edition of our show, Town Square Social, located at 145 Public Square here in Lebanon, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. The guys also own Cedar City Brewing Company at 112 Public Square. My sponsors for the show, Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Daryl Tidwell, loan originator with Southern Bank of Tennessee. The Salas Realty Group. Let me put my glasses on to be sure I've got that. 120 Public Square, Lebanon. THW Insurance Services, LLC. Cumberland University Athletics. And DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookville. Of course, if you're watching this show live, you know it's on any of 3 Facebook Live platforms, including the Wilson Post, Main Street Preps, and Blue Devil Broadcasting. You can also watch this show via Twitter at TB Sports 85 and on the Main Street Media TV app. Our schedule this week for Week 6, Friday, February 22nd, Mount Juliet at Wilson Central, Watertown at Lebanon, a game we'll get into in a lot of depth tonight. Undefeated Friendship Christian at undefeated Middle Tennessee Christian in Murfreesboro. DCA at Mount Juliet Christian Academy, and Gallatin at Green Hill. Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils, with me here to start the show, as we always do. Chuck, tough one last week. Blue Devils lead Green Hill 14-3 at intermission. And there was a 6-minute stretch in the third quarter where everything right happened for Green Hill and nothing good happened for Lebanon. They scored 3 touchdowns in 6 minutes.
Yeah, never been quite involved in anything like it, Tommy, from returning the kick, blocking the back call on the kick, holding, the clock messing up. The having different kids from different positions make mistakes, to busting coverages, to not executing simple things, to not communicating, to not fitting right, to not tackling, to not functioning on offense, just over and over and over again. Then we had 2 blunders in special teams, low snap, didn't get the punt off, coming out of a TV timeout where I think we said, between Coach Williams and myself and maybe some others, hey, this is the perfect time, watch. And we worked it all week, whether it's the onside surprise, kicking it in the air, whatever happened, just bad football. And somebody asked me, how do you stop that? Usually we call timeout. We had TV timeouts, we had timeouts, we had breaks. Just wasn't meant to be. And, I don't want to take nothing away from Green Hill. They played a good game and won, but wasn't the same team that went in at halftime. The same group did not come out for whatever reason. And, we've worked this week to try to fix that.
How has we taped this show, we filmed this show on Wednesday. You've had 3 days. How have those days gone for you, Chuck?
Well, when you have your wife, assistant coaches, players, others say, Coach, it's going to be okay. I guess I've been in a pretty bad mood, pretty frank to the point. I don't like losing. I don't like playing bad. I don't like putting a bad product on the field, putting a bad product out on TV, that looks like we're not a well-coached football team. So me and my staff, our players, we take it pretty personal, pretty to heart, and hopefully we won't look like that on Friday night. But there's a long time between Friday night and Friday night, and a lot of work to be done. And like I said, we've tried to do that with Monday and then Tuesday and then Wednesday, and some pretty physical practices and trying to get better.
Your freshman in JV went to Green Hill on Monday. 2 pretty good results there.
Yeah, JV won 14-0. Freshman won 28-7. So good night for both of those groups.
And those kids got a little taste of it, getting out there on the turf, under the lights, getting some work in that they really needed.
Yeah, and our JV team has been done well, and our freshmen have done well too, and it's given them experience to hopefully prepare for the future and get them game time reps to see how we can keep going, keep getting better, and maybe some of those guys earning some time on Friday nights.
Turning our attention to Friday night's game, September the 22nd. It's been 59 years since Lebanon and Watertown have played. November 13th, 1964, the Industrial Bowl in Lafayette. It was just the sixth time those two football programs had met. Lebanon had won the first five. Watertown kicked a field goal and defeated Lebanon 9-7 in that Industrial Bowl. And as the story was told to me, Clifton Tribble, the coach at Lebanon High, and Mr. Ernest Cotton, who was the director of schools, superintendent of schools at the time, went to Watertown on that following Monday with a contract to try to get Watertown to sign a 2-year deal to play Lebanon home and home. And Brownie Robinson, head coach of the Purple Tigers, said, "Boys, there ain't enough money in Wilson County for us to play you again." And that has held true for 59 years. There's a long story on how we got here, but finances and travel and open dates on the schedule really all came together.
Maybe we can keep enough money in Wilson County to get 2 games out of it and see. And again, I jokingly I said Monday morning at the Blue Devil Football Foundation golf tournament that we've been waiting on this for a long time, and so maybe Friday night at homecoming we can make a little money and have a little fun. But it wasn't like Watertown was looking to play Lebanon and Lebanon was looking to play Watertown. That's not what happened. Scheduling football games every 2-year cycle is the hardest thing I do. Some people you want to play, some people you don't want to play. Some people it's a good gate, some people it's a bad gate. Sometimes it's travel, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a private school, sometimes it's not. And the way that the TSSAA sets up the regions and if they don't align, it's hard. A lot of people that we played non-region last time are now in our region. So it's just one of those things. And like I said, we were making a phone call. Me and Gavin Coach Webster had talked about it here and laughed about it, joked about it, said, "Well, we'll make a lot of money." And I was calling somebody else. Actually, Coach Angel was calling somebody else, and they said, "Well, if you're looking for a game, I know a game that you might be able to get because we are scheduled to play them and thing." And I said, "Well, you tell him to call me if he wants to play." And I called him and said, "Hey, they said this. Let me know if that falls through." And literally, I was at Summit Hospital with Mama and left and came home. And at that point, I was getting off the interstate, and he called me and he said, "Well, here we are. You ain't got a game, and I ain't got a game, and there ain't nobody to play." And I said, "Well, I've got 4 people. One's in East Tennessee, one's in Middle Tennessee, one's private, and the other one's in West Tennessee." I said, "If you want to do it, I'll do it." I said, "People are going to say, 'Why are you playing Watertown?' And they're going to tell you, 'Why are you playing Lebanon?' But, the financial piece of it and the proximity and we talked about several different aspects of why it was good, why it was bad, and we both decided, let's do this."
Well, Watertown got put in a AAA region where they got to go to Sequatchie County for a region game. And I don't know how in the world you get from Watertown to Sequatchie County. So they've got long bus trips all over their region. They got Giles County coming to their place this year, a long trip. Next year, they'll have a long trip to Pulaski. So the proximity, the ability for them to get a quick couple of buses and get over here. And then in 2 years, it's their home game. And to make some money, And I'm behind the times. I've been saying, well, helmets, are $350. Well, the good helmets are about $600 now. So you got to have gate receipts to make the program work.
Well, Dr. Walters asked me today about how much a helmet costs, and I told him a brand new Speed Flex helmet, one by itself, is $400. And I said, if I had a son, I would literally buy a brand new helmet every year, donate it to the program. Then when it's done. But those helmets. I mean, football is a contact collision sport, and people want their kids in the best, and so that's what we try to do. You try to put them in the best helmet, best shoulder pads. All the other stuff is fluff, but you want kids to be protected, and in today and age, the age that we are, equipment is only going up, and
there's not as many companies making those headgear as there used to be. It's basically Rydell and Schutt now, right?
Rydell, Schutt, and then the Vices, that you see Patrick Mahomes, but those are $750, $800 per, and again, they are made for certain things. They're not, but equipment, all of that leads back to, all right, how what do you spend your money on? How do you make your money? And we fundraise and do, but our number one thing is people buying the ticket and coming in. And again, at least for 2 years, I think people will be excited and want to see this because, the Brownie Robinson story comes up, the 3A, 6A, our rivalry, they see each other. They played against each other. At times in middle school, Watertown has beaten some of these guys. And so it's I think it's good for Wilson County per se. And again, all the money that's spent towards these two games will stay with our program.
When you look at Watertown, they started 2-0. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost a close one to Cascade last week, 28-21. They're wounded, and a wounded animal is a dangerous animal. You got to be on alert for those guys.
Well, they have, like I said, they have nothing to lose. Pull out all the stops, come out swinging, whatever, whenever. And if they lose, we're supposed to lose. And if we win, we're supposed to win. And so, again, strictly, a have to, want to money situation thing. And again, at times you can say for a smaller school, we're preparing for the playoffs. That's what we're doing. We're playing a team that will help us prepare for the 3A playoffs. And, that's what we talked about when we talked about it. You've got to be good. You have to play good people. And again, at times in our program, I have looked for games that are money, games where, hey, we need a win. And then games where, all right, these people are going to challenge us. And it just depends on which aspect you're looking at.
Offensively, Watertown has been a system team, and you call these different systems. They're a spread, shotgun, signal from the sideline. You make an adjustment on one play. They may have a counter for that. Well coached, well executed in what they want to do offensively.
Well, they have been a good football team for the last several years. I mean, you probably say, I don't know, since I've been in Wilson County following them. They've been deep runs in the playoffs, playing Trousdale County, in the quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever it was, to go. And they're a spread football team, can go up tempo when they want to, and very well coached, very well rounded. They play hard, play physical. They've got some size and big kids at places, and so I know on Friday night at 7:00 we're going to get their best effort. And again, like I say, there's only going to be 11 of us on the field at the same time. The field in Watertown is the same size as the field in Lebanon. You're only going to put 11 on, and we're going to line up and play ball and see who wins. But they are, like you said, a very dangerous football team. Got some weapons and some things, and they probably have the best kicker that we'll face all year. And winning in the special teams is big. We proved that last Friday night that it can turn the momentum of a game just like that. And Whether it's, there probably won't be a chance to return a kick. He's probably kicking them 5 yards deep in the end zone, or when they cross the 35-yard line, there's a chance for him to kick a field goal.
He kicked the 51-yarder earlier this year.
And so, that changes the way you think about things. And, this is 4-down territory, or not, they're in scoring range.
Yeah.
So, I definitely don't want to be saying we're going to leave it up to his leg on the last play to see if it's 9-7 or 10 to whatever you said again. So it's just one of those, one of the aspects. It's a third of the game, and he makes it, and they have that advantage.
Let's talk for a second about homecoming. A lot of folks coming back. I know some folks from the class of 75 are going to come back, tailgate, come to the game, just kind of on a whim. There are a couple of reunion groups that are going to be there. Ought to be a wonderful atmosphere.
Well, the faculty at Lebanon High School is tailgating out front. Several people have talked about tailgate. It's homecoming. A lot of people excited because it's a Wilson County game in county. There's people that's talked about the rivalry and coming back, and so hopefully we'll have a big crowd and everybody be able to come back. And I know there's the homecoming court and all that stuff, the parade during the day, the pep rally, all the stuff that goes on with homecoming, all the stuff that the football coach is like, please just get us to 7:00. And but it's a big time to show off our campus, show off our facilities, show off and then everybody get back together and say, hey, back in 75 we did this, and or homecoming we played these people, and it's a good reason for everybody to come back to Lebanon High School and talk about the good old days.
Let's talk about the meals that were sponsored for you this week. A special one on Monday. Isaiah Douglas, class of 2022, who plays at Cumberland, worked all summer, put some money aside, and fed the ninth graders and the JV on Monday, and talked to the team a little bit. When I was told about that, it got to me.
Yeah, it was his dad called me and said, hey, I got somebody who wants to feed the team. I said, well, I'll get you in touch with Darren and we'll do it. And I said, who is it? And he said, I don't matter. And I said, well, who is it? And he said, Isaiah has worked all summer and put a little money. And we talked about it, and he wants to feed your football team. And you watch those boys sit there and eat, and they have fun.
Yeah.
When you talk to them, some of the funnest times, other than winning football games and bus rides, is sitting there, team meals. And again, those meals are precious to some of them. And you sit there with your teammates who, for instance, 2 weeks ago when we had sake, some of those kids had never ate sake. They didn't know what sake was, but they found out and was like, oh, man, this is awesome. It was yum sauce everywhere. But, Isaiah knows that. He was with the group, and he saved his money and wanted to give back. And, it was special for him to come in and talk to those young men and be a product of our program and the work that he put in to be a part of a team, and then to go on and have the grades and then now to be playing at Cumberland and then want to give back to us is special. And the message he had was special, and just goes to, his parents have done a good job raising him, but we talk about the relationships, and it makes it that much more important. That little episode helped get me through the week, because I needed some positive, and on Monday that was very positive, and a very positive talk from him. And his dad didn't want to. I got him to say a few words too, but those kids relate a lot more to Isaiah than they do to Chuck Kitchen.
Oh, sure. Thursday, the Wilhelm Group with Blackwell Realty will be feeding the varsity. Thursday evening, GC Church will feed the cheerleaders. And then Friday, Rocky Valley Baptist Church, Jason Mull, who used to play for Lebanon, will feed the varsity. Again, the community loves this football team.
Always, it's great, to be in a community where it's going to get taken care of. Me and Brother Darren at 1st of August, he's like, I don't know. This is kind of, and I'm like, well, it's about to crank up. School's going to crank up, and we've had them 90. I mean, minus the scrimmages, which we don't try to get covered. I usually take care of that with pizza, but we 100%. Again, we've got people calling saying, "What do you need? What do you?" And we do appreciate it. And I showed 2 or 3 people our locker room the other night, and they were blown away. And when Isaiah come in there, I said, "Let me show you. Let's turn off these lights." And it's it's good to be able to have a community that pours their heart and soul into it. And that's one of the things I told our football team last Friday night. I said, I am disappointed in this second half because those people are here to see us, and we didn't perform to. I'm okay to get beat, but to lose a football game and not play your best is hard to come by. And I said we have to do our job. And so if you play your best and somebody beats you, all right, hats off to them. But if you obviously if you watch the game, the first half and the second half, 2 different football teams, and like I said, if I had the sauce to know what could have changed it, I'd be selling it, making some more money. But it's just one of those things. I told our kids I don't know any way to change it, but I'll be back in here in the morning at 9 o'clock. Get to work. I'll be at school at 8:30 on Monday, and we'll go to work at 2 on Monday and try to get better. And I will say that our attitude has been good. So I'm expecting us to bounce back and come out tomorrow night or Friday night ready to play. I'm trying to get it here a day early.
Chuck, thanks for the visit. Thanks to Family Medical Associates and Pediatrics for sponsoring the chocolate milk through Shop Springs Creamery, the official chocolate milk of Lebanon High football. Chuck Gentry, my guest on the first segment of Coach's Night Out. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back for our second segment of Coach's Night Out live from Town Square Social. My sponsors, as always, Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Daryl Tidwell, loan originator at Southern Bank of Tennessee, the Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, Lebanon, THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, and DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with me here. And Tim, everything rolled for you guys last week against Kentucky Christian, a football team that had their problems, but bottom line, Cumberland had to take care of business, right, and you did, to the tune of 50-6.
Right.
When you go back and you look at the film, how do you think you got your kids executed?
I mean, we did what we wanted to do, offensively and defensively. We wanted to establish a run, and we definitely did that. Defense, we just wanted to play fast and create turnovers, and we did that. So, and it's one of those games where you kind of what you said, you got to take care of Cumberland, and we'll be okay. And we did, and it showed, and we put up some impressive numbers.
2 backs over 100 yards, and when you're doing that, you're very effective offensively.
Yeah, and you put all 3 of them together, and our running backs ran for over 300 yards, which is pretty stout. And when you're able to do that, and we worked on our passing game. We were 11-15 throwing the ball. So Luke made some really good decisions throwing the ball, so we got to work on that. But when you're able to run the ball like we were able to run the ball, everything's at your disposal.
Well, and again, you had to have a good game from your offensive line in order to do that.
We did, and that's the thing. You go back and look on the films, and there were things that we could have done better, which is, sometimes it's hard to find that when you have games like that. But there were some things that we could get better at and go from there, because when you face some stouter opponents, sometimes you can't get away with that, and we got away with a couple of things this past Saturday. But they played outstanding up front, because you're blocking people when you run for 300 yards at running back.
And there's that kind of feeds on itself, doesn't it? When you have success early running the football, that feeling kind of grows, and the lineman wants you to continue to run the football.
Yeah, any lineman that is worth his weight in salt or anything is when you're run. That's what you want to do. You want to run block. You want to pancake guys. That's the most intimidating thing you can do. If you're a lineman and all you want to do is pass that, I don't know that I really want you, because you might be a little soft there. Our guys want to run the ball and want to get after people.
Were you able to get into that bench a little bit as the game went along, particularly in the offensive front?
We did. We had a lot of guys that played up front, a lot of guys that was their first college game they got in, which was good. We got some guys in that we might have to use down the road that got some valuable experience, which was awesome. And it didn't, it didn't drop off when we put those guys in, which was a good thing too.
A couple of interceptions, a fumble recovery. One of the interceptions we had a picture of. One of my guys got a shot of Burnley going up and making a grab and then kind of going out of bounds. Really athletic play. Kids broke on the ball.
Yeah, they definitely did. And the one before that, I mean, he caught it maybe off the tip of the grass. I mean, he really made a great play to make that interception. But our guys on defense were flying around to the ball, and that's all you ask for and all you want for. You want to be sound in what you're doing, but you want 11 people around the football.
Your front seven, how did that bunch play?
Outstanding. That's our defensive player of the week was and he was a freshman. Joey Samples led our team in tackles for loss. And that's his 3rd game as a college football player. So you can't ask for that. And he's a freshman. All the other guys are returning guys, and they played outstanding too. So it's easy to make those interceptions when those front seven are doing their job and putting pressure on people.
Tell me a little bit about Joey, a true freshman, right?
Yes, and it's an interesting thing. He's from Rome, Georgia. Played at Model High School, and the crazy thing about it is his senior year he was a running back and a linebacker. He knows one technique for us, and he's put on. We told him when we offered him that we were going to move him to D line, and we didn't think he would be an inside guy yet, but he took it to heart and he put on a lot of great weight. He's not flabby or anything like that. He's a real athlete. So when you're able to put an athlete like that down inside, he creates problems.
And to be able to identify and project him from a high school senior to where he's standing up and playing to where you want him down in a 3-point stance, you guys saw something.
We did, and for us, and we actually saw him the year before going into his senior year. We had him at a camp that we had down in Rome, Georgia, and he had a great motor, and we knew that he was really a tweener is he good enough in space or whatever, but he'd be great with his hand on the ground. We put him in some past situations in that camp, and he's been outstanding. And he comes from I went to school with some guys that are his relatives, and he comes from really, really, really good stock. So if he plays half as good as some of his relatives, he's going to be a heck of a football player. He is good.
Playing defensive line at that level, a lot of it is hands and feet.
It's hands and feet, and you're playing a nose or one technique. It's a lot of you get double teamed a whole bunch, and he's able to defeat double teams, which is like again as a freshman to be able to do that. I mean, he's going to be special if he keeps doing what he's doing.
And he must like the weight room.
He does. He's a super kid. Doesn't complain about anything. All he does is put his head down and work.
Off week again, quirk in the schedule. Is it Campbellsville the following game?
Campbellsville the following.
Here at Noakes Lassiter. You had a practice schedule for the previous open week where you kind of gave them Monday off. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, got some good work done. Is that kind of the plan again?
We're doing the exact same schedule. We practiced yesterday. We practiced today. We'll practice Thursday. Give them Friday and Saturday off. We will practice late Sunday afternoon instead of Monday, just so we don't. We really didn't like getting them the 3 days off the last time, but it was really because I wanted to go visit my daughters. The reason we had 3 days off, but we'll come in Sunday and then treat the game week like a normal week where we'll be off that Monday so we can do most of our game planning work then.
Have you had a chance to sneak a peek at Campbellsville?
Oh yeah, we've been looking at them and start looking at them, and they're, they have a new coach. He came from Kentucky Christian. He played quarterback at Campbellsville a while back or whatever, but so he went back to his school to coach. But he likes to throw. He's a quarterback. He likes to throw it around a bunch, and they run a 3-4 defense, and so we have started looking at them and started game planning a little bit of what we can do. But we've tried to use this week as a get to work on Cumberland again, and then these last 2 days we've had our Phoenix Bowl where our young guys have kind of played each other too, so they're getting a bunch of reps.
So the kids that normally don't play or play much on Saturday, you're getting some
right.
scrimmage kind of work.
We've basically gotten about 10 or 15 minutes of scrimmage at the end of these last two practices. And then at the end this week, these two practices, yesterday we had a offensive line versus defensive line punt catching contest for gassers. And it went way deep, and we ended up having even coaches involved in it. Coach Bryan, Coach Morty. Neither one of them could catch a punt, so we had to go back to kids to do it. The offensive line won that, and then today we had DBs versus wide receivers, tire tug of war. So just some competition stuff to get everybody going, and the wide receivers won that too. So
how has practice gone? Because practice can get awfully tedious,
and that's one of the reasons we did those two things. You do. It can do, but always reference to them. I try to stress it every day. You either have to practice or you get to practice. you you got to have that mentality. It's too easy to get into the mode. Man, I have to go to practice today, but with a different mindset, just one different word. If I get to do it every day, and you got to find what makes you tick to make you excited about practice every day, because it can get mundane and routine-ish and all that, but it's got to be an outcome, and it's an outcome we always preach is you get to do this. You don't have to play, and not everybody gets to. That's the privilege they have. Is not everybody can play college football, so you need to have that mentality. We get to do this every day, and it's kind of went that way too.
I don't know if you heard the story. Isaiah Douglas, one of your players, worked all summer, put some money aside, and he fed the Lebanon High JV and the freshmen on Monday, spoke to the team a little bit, and it impacted a lot of the grown-ups in the room. And the feeling is it probably impacted those kids to see one of their own come back and do for them.
Right, and it makes you feel, obviously it makes you feel good as a coach that he would even, why would you even think of doing that? It speaks volumes of Isaiah,
sure,
to be honest with you. But the fact that you always got to have, but you always ought to try to give back to whatever, because he is one of the fortunate ones that got to, and you can look at him. Isaiah probably been told his whole life he's too small to do anything.
Yeah.
But if you have the right attitude and the right work ethic,
and you have the heart to do it.
Have the heart to do it, and the fact that you need to relay that message on to everybody, because if you look at him, anybody can play college football, and hopefully one of those young guys that are sitting there might even have in the back of their mind, there's no way I can do that. But after Isaiah doing that and talking with them, hopefully that changes somebody's mind and makes them do what they need to do to get to where they want to go.
I try to touch on recruiting every now and then with you, Tim. It is an ongoing process, and your coaching staff constantly reaching out to coaches and to players.
We definitely are. We had another, at our game against Kentucky Christian, we had another group of really, really talented high school seniors come in, and it's humbling. For one thing is, Saturdays they're off day, and they do want to play college football, and you got to go visit places, but it's humbling. They just play on a Friday night. Some of them traveled 4, 5, 6 hours to come visit, and it's humbling that they choose us, and we've had nothing but great positive feedback about how they're treated when they're there. Our admissions does a wonderful job of showing them campus and giving them everything they need to know academically, because that's one of the big things we stress is you need to make the decision on your academics, because that's going to be the next 60 or 70 years of your life. Football at some point is over. It ends. And it can end in a snap. So you need to pick it for the right reason. So admissions does a tremendous job, but it's a never-ending saga. We're going to, recruiting, it's the lifeblood of your program.
You got a couple of former players who hang out down there at that pavilion and visit with those kids and make sure they're taken care of.
Garrett Hall does our recruiting. It's not tent now, pavilion. And Garrett's a former player that has just poured his heart and soul into he secures all the food, goes out and asks people. In fact, him and his wife does that for a living. She fed him our first game anyway, but we let him talk to him after, because my biggest thing is wanting former Cumberland players come back and talk to him, because they did it.
And he didn't play for you.
No, he didn't. He played way back, so he didn't play for me at all. He played in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So but I want people that love Cumberland and came here, did it. So, tell them your experiences, tell them everything, and a lot of it's changed, but you want people talking to those kids that have been through it and done that and love Cumberland. He bleeds Cumberland. And that's, why would you not want somebody doing that?
Well, finish up this good week of practice, short as it is, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. take a little time off, get back after it, and you got Campbellsville coming in on the following Saturday.
Yep, we're getting ready. By the end of this week, when we get into Tuesday, they'll be ready for the bye week to go because they'll be ready. But then it becomes the long haul. We don't have a break, and there's no more off weeks, so you got to be ready for the long haul.
Tim, thanks for the visit as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Go Phoenix.
Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland University, with us on Coach's Night Out. Next up, Gavin Webster, head coach at Watertown High, after these messages. Back for the third and final segment of tonight's show, Town Square Social, live from Coach's. Town Square Social is the site. Coach's Night Out is the show. 145 Public Square. Let me run through my list of sponsors again. D.T. McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. Cumberland University Athletics. THW Insurance Services, LLC. The Salas Realty Group, located at 120 Public Square, Lebanon. Darrell Tidwell, loan originator with Southern Bank of Tennessee. And Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Coach Gavin Webster, head coach at Watertown, with us. And the Wilson Post reran today in our paper a story Ken Beck did several years ago talking about the 50th anniversary of the 1964 game and what went into making that Lebanon Watertown game take place. And there are some parallels, Coach, because it was a bowl game, an opportunity for Coach Brownie and Coach Tribble to make some money for their programs. And it kind of evolved that way here. Lebanon didn't go looking for Watertown, and Watertown didn't go looking for Lebanon, but things came together. Talk about how all that kind of transpired.
Well, when the schedules come out, of course, we went to the new region in 3A with Giles County, Grundy, Community, and Sequatchie County. So those are a lot of long road trips to be in a region. So, trying to fill it with local teams and when it comes right down to it, it wasn't a whole lot of local. We tried with Smith County. We just couldn't. Me and Coach Dyer couldn't get that worked out. Of course, we still played Gornsville and DeKalb and picked up Macon and was needing a few more and was talking to a buddy of mine in Fairview. And so we've been trying to play last several years. And so we decided we'd play, and that was that game where Lebanon's at right now.
Yeah.
And Chuck, I bet it wasn't an hour after that, he called and had a spot and asked me and said, Chuck, man, I just, I'm full. I just got full probably an hour ago. And lo and behold, probably 15 minutes later, coach at Fairview, Coach Hughes, he called me, and there was somebody he was trying to get on his schedule. I think it was Waverly or someone like that they kind of got a little rivalry and was wanting to play. He said, hey, I got this going on. He said, if you can get somebody, would you be okay in switching it? He said, if you can't, he said, I'll honor it. We'll still play and everything. Yeah. So I said, well, give me 5 minutes. So I called Chuck back. I said, have you got anybody? He said, no. I said, well, we'll do it. So that's kind of how it transpired. So I guess it was in the cards for us to play,
I know several years ago, well, it was in 2020 during the COVID year, Beach had to drop Lebanon. They couldn't play. Fairview was coming off of COVID shutdown, and they needed a game. So Lebanon and Fairview got together. They played on a Saturday afternoon.
I remember that.
And the poor guys from Fairview, they couldn't get a bus. They wouldn't let them all on a bus together. They came in cars.
Right.
I pull up in the parking lot, and these guys are getting out carrying their equipment. I'm thinking, these guys really want to play.
Yeah.
And Coach Hughes, is he the 7-on-7 quarterback?
Oh, yeah, he's the 7-on-7 dude. Yeah.
So this guy sounds like a world of fun, and he's a buddy of yours, a good guy. But it all came together in talking with Chuck, and I know what headgear and shoulder pads cost, and to be able to have a good gate this year at Lebanon, hopefully next year at Watertown, that's going to mean a lot for your budget when you've got to go to Sequatchie County to play a region game.
Sequatchie, we traveled to Sequatchie already, and we got to go to community last game of the year. So we are fortunate enough to have Giles and Grundy at home this year, but then we'll have to turn around and go there next year. So, we got a lot of those road trips are long.
Well, and sometimes getting buses in this county is a tough way to go.
Well, I was really worried about that, and what really helped us was our schedule of school time changing. We now start at 7:30 and get out at 2:30. So used to when we got out at 3, hey, it was every bit of 4:15, 4:30 before we could even think about leaving. So now, we're able to get out of there. If we've got a long road trip, we're able to get out of there at 4 a little after. So that helps a whole lot. Now, before that, I was scratching my head, and I'm like, man, I hope we don't have to get a bunch of charter buses because they are not cheap.
Oh well, and it's cost a little bit to get in those yellow dogs too.
Well, the yellow buses, they're better than the charter, but it's still you got to budget for it. You got to make sure you got the money and all that stuff. But everything worked out.
Your football team started out 2-0. You've lost 3 in a row. I'm sure this football team has got some anger about them, probably a little wounded. And that's a dangerous kind of football team. I would think Lebanon's going to get your best shot come Friday.
Well, they should. If we're not, we're frustrated. Just some things happen at inopportune times. They should be hungry. We should be hungry as a football team, and we've talked about it and discussed it. Last couple of weeks when we those games transpired and everything. So, come down here and give us our best. Give them our best shot, and and hopefully we can put some things together.
I talked to Chuck about this a little bit too. Offensively, you have stayed the course on what you guys like to do through past several years. You're going to spread. You're going to do things that you want to do offensively based on what the defense gives you. That gives you a certain sense of confidence. And I got to looking at some of the numbers. Price is completing 64% of his passes. You're spreading the ball around. Adam Cooper, coming back off that knee injury from last year, has had a good year, averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Offensively, you seem to be doing what you want to do.
Well, yeah, that's what gets frustrating. You get a quarterback that's completing 64% of his passes, and he's a threat to run the ball, and you're moving the ball offensively. But the main thing that we preach and have been trying to preach, is we got to protect the ball better.
Yeah.
Turnovers are going to get you beat. Especially when you play teams of equal, or it could be even just any team, you know. So we got to protect the ball. We started out the first 2 games this year and didn't turn the ball over at all, and then last three games, for whatever reason, we've had at least a couple turnovers a game, and that cost us at Sequatchie, and it cost us at Cascade last week, and not so much at DeKalb. I think we had one, but still, you just don't want to see those turnovers on offense. Now, defensively, you want to create them and get them, and we're all about that. But I like to take pride in we're going to protect that football, and it's our football. And if you stop us, it's not going to be us; it's going to be you stopping us, not us stopping us. And that's kind of where I feel. Even though we've had pretty good stats don't always win you football games, but it's there on paper. We're having some success on offense and moving the football. Now we're not racking up 30 and 40 points, but that's not our game. But we want to control the clock and control the game and just do the best we can now.
Cascade got up on you 2 touchdowns, 14-0. Your kids battled back. It was 28-21 was the final. What did you think about the fight your kids had?
Well, I thought they fought, and their effort. We had a few issues, alignment on defense and responsibility, just like we had some issues on offense. Like I told you, I think when I sat down here, we ran. I may have told Chuck a minute ago. I don't think I told you, but our first 4 plays, our first series, we get the ball. We got 2 bad plays, and then we're throwing on 3rd down. We have 2 bad snaps, throwing on 3rd down and punting, and then they go down, score. We get the ball back, and we throw a pick next play. So we ran 4 plays first quarter. They go up on us 14-0 and kick off to us, and it was like, okay, we're ready to go, and we go right down and we score like it wasn't nothing. It's 14-7. I'm like, okay, that's the bunch I've been waiting on.
Yeah.
So we got to come out of the gate at the beginning of the game. We can't wait and spot teams 7, 14 points because we're not built that way. So we just got to take care of ourselves. If Watertown takes care of Watertown, everything will be fine, But it's just we got to take care of ourselves first.
Trey Pack has turned into a weapon for you guys. He was the region specialist of the year last year, kicked the 51-yarder. And I got to talk to him on that Sunday. We were up at the fair, everybody, and I asked him about it. And he said, well, I knew it was a long one. I didn't realize it was 51. The kid's got a good leg.
He does. He is a weapon, and he's also our punter also. So, he's done a very good job as a kicker, field goal kicker, just a kicking specialist. And, when he got into this, he wasn't punting much. He was just kind of doing it on the, and saw him out there punting one day. And I'm like, actually, me and the whole coaching staff, we were like, Trey, you need to really concentrate on punting also, because there's nothing. You don't get a lot of guys in college that can kick and also turn around and punt. You make yourself more marketable.
Yeah.
Doing 2 things versus just doing 1. So, he kind of took that, and he's done a very good job last 2 years punting and kicking also.
It's a technique thing, isn't it? Because he's not a big kid. It's not he muscles it, but his technique, I've seen him practice. he can thump it.
Well, he's got a strong leg, and he's went to kicking camps. It's helped him out and learned some stuff there. So, yeah, I'm impressed. No bigger than he is. He's not a great big guy. He does really well.
Defensively, how's Watertown going to play against Lebanon? Lebanon's going to be a team that's going to spread. They're going to no huddle.
Mm-hmm.
They will flip the tight end and the blocking back, the H back. They'll do some movement and some motion. I guess getting your guys lined up against the offense the right way is going to be a big part of it.
Well, that's the whole thing about football on defense. It's alignment and assignment. First thing you got to do is you got to get aligned to the offense, and then you got to go through with your assignment to execute it. So if you can do those two things, you give yourself a chance, and Coach Hackett and the defensive guys, they do a good job of doing that and getting their guys ready, watching film and prepping them and everything like that. So I'm very confident, and I told somebody, you're not always going to be right on every play. It's just like on offense. You're not always going to be right on every play. You're going to miss some blocks or you're going to make some mistakes, just like on, defense. There's going to be some mistakes made, but hopefully they're not big enough that, that really cost you, So, but Coach Hackett and defensive staff, they do a great job on, making sure the guys know where they got to be and getting lined up.
And having guys who will run to the football, maybe something doesn't go right at the point of attack, but you get 2 or 3 extra helmets in there on a play,
mm-hmm.
You're going to have a chance.
Oh yeah, and we love getting them, Purple Tigers to the ball, So we want to see as many to the ball as we can, So.
Health wise, how do you come into this game? Have you been okay?
We've been okay. We got two guys out right now, and we should get one back next week. And jury's kind of out on the other one if he's going to return or not. 2 senior guys, so hopefully we can get them back. But it's going to be a little process.
How has the feel been in the building and in the community about playing this game against Lebanon?
Well, I'll be honest, in the school building and everything, there's some excitement. The kids are excited, I don't get out in the community a whole lot and run around.
You're busy coaching football.
I'm busy, the extent of me getting out in Watertown is going to Three Forks Market to get groceries or get something or going to the dollar store. So I don't see a lot, and I go do my thing and get back in my vehicle and go home.
I feel like, and I think the weather is going to be great. It's finally got a little bit of fall in the air. Ought to be a great night for high school football, and hoping for a big crowd to see what ought to be a fun football game.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that earlier. It looks like the weather is, I think, high 85. Friday, so it'll probably kick off be about mid 70s and going down. So it's good. We had good weather last week, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Gavin Webster, head coach at Watertown, with us. Thanks for the visit. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tommy.
Always good to have Coach Webster with us here on Coach's Night Out. Thanks to you for tuning in. For our sponsors, we appreciate your help in making this show possible. Justin behind the camera, Hunter running the food up here. Thanks to everybody at Town Square Social. I'm Tommy Bryan. I'll talk to you later.